All right, here we go. Demo number 1 in the new space. I moved to Nashville, and that's where we are. That's what this is. The first pedal that I'm going to be doing with the new digs is from Cornerstone. You've heard of them. This is the Nero Fuzz, and, it's cool. I've only messed with, maybe a couple of fuzzes in the past. Things like Walrus Jupiter or the Benson germanium fuzz and some stuff like that, which, all of them are designed so differently, but the Nero Fuzz is really cool. He did a handful of just really specific, unique, different things in it. I'm going to read the manual as well. Actually, just a couple of key kind of highlight points that I think are relevant and valuable to note. It's worth noting too that I'm going to probably actually use at least 3 different guitars. Normally I've been doing my Veritas Portlander, but I'm probably going to do my new little Fender Tele and likely Danelectro Baritone as well, just because I think there's probably going to be some value in hearing it on singles. I think that's going to make a lot of sense. The whole time it's going to be on my same normal amps I've been liking to use, JMI, left side, Blankenship, Twinplex on the right. They just give me what I want. The Nero Fuzz. Okay, so really quick, we got fuzz circuit, a single gain stage. It cascades into a built-in fixed gain Gladio SC circuit, which I'm very excited and curious to get my hands on one of those. The harmony of both of these circuits allows you to tame the harshness of the fuzz. 2 independent voice bias controls offer an effortless transition between tones at the mere click of a soft foot switch. It's soft, it doesn't click hard, so it'll be easy to press. I like it. Intuitive in design, yet teeming with possibilities. Congratulations, you're about to uncover a world of tonal exploration. So yeah, you can switch between the voices with the foot switch. If you're a kind of person that doesn't have a switcher and you are relying on this to give you a variety of tones within one pedal, it's great for that. So anyways, that's about it. And let's hear it. Like I said, I'm going to use a few different guitars just to kind of really give it an adequate experience. But I think this is great. And honestly, also his visuals. Come on. This is probably one of the sleekest, all of his pedals are like the sleekest design I feel like I've seen on guitar pedals. There's plenty that do a really cool, unique job of visuals, but it just looks like a suit and tie, man. And that is also true for the Antique that I got as well. It literally is black and white, looks like a tuxedo. So that's going to be a fun one to do as well. Also wanted to pop in and let you know that me and David Hislop with Tone Factor have a tone course that right now is running a summer sale at 50% off, which is a huge deal. And we have about 30 hours of material in there where we talked about everything from top to bottom, guitars, pedal boards, and amps, how to dial amps. I think we both hit about roughly 6-7 amps each, different amps, and how we would approach that. And yes, that knowledge does apply to modelers as well. If anything, it is actually pivotal to your knowledge with modelers, because if you know how to dial an amp and you know what to listen for, you know what you need to make that modeler sound like. And if you find yourself at any point within this video just wondering, man, how does that chord tone sound like that? This would be a perfect way to find out. So check out in the description section, or I'll probably put a card and it'll tell you where to find the tone course. Go check it out. At least watch the video. All right, Nero Fuzz is set up, and I messed with this at one point, I think briefly, on my Tone X's whenever I first got it, so I have like a really general idea what it's doing. Of course, we have these little bias controls as well, which is cool, and then the ability to switch between them with a soft switch. But anyways, let's jump into it and see what she sounds like, and I'll just kind of start toying with knobs, because it's probably not going to react the same on my amps. But we'll see if we can pull out some cool goodies. Okay, so like I said, this is my Veritas Portlander first with Lindy Fralin modern PAFs. And then JMI on the left, Twinplex on the right. This is what it sounds like clean. And then the Nero Fuzz. Sorry, it definitely wasn't on. It's on when the sick, nasty little emblem of theirs is turned on. So anyways, Nero Fuzz. mean, just general first impressions, the slam it has is so sick. I mean, Sound Driver kind of does that. Whenever you pump something into it and it gets the like low end slam is my favorite. So the fact that that is essentially the entire identity of this, at least so far, is incredible. Let's just swap to the other mode for a second and see I mean, the bias is definitely set different on this one. So let's just see what that sounds like. Okay, so also I do have the tone knob maxed out right now. That's what I was curious about. So let's just kind of move that around for a minute because they're similar in their identity, but I'm going to toy around with it. I think that bias probably has a lot to do with that slamming effect. Okay, so that's a big thing right there. All the way to the right, it's kind of adjusting that bias from what I understand, and it is more touch sensitive. So literally just kind of picking my guitar, it is open and it has no slam effect. And so it's more overdrivey, distortion-y, I would say. Oh, and sorry, I lowered the volume a lot because I'm really curious, without amp influence, what is happening with the gain. And right now the gain's at absolute minimum. So, it's cool to hear the pedal itself first before we kind of lean it into the amps. And I notice a lot of low end size, which I love. And then that really cool either touch sensitivity or slam effect. So far, just messing with voice one. I'm already experiencing so much variety. That is a maxed out gain sounds so sick. And the bias isn't even on the like slamming side. It's on the like really touch sensitive side. I'm going to throw on a wide effect really fast and mess around with that. Yeah, dropping that tone knob a smidge got rid of just that barely kind of like high MIDI thing, which was great. It's still warmer, but I imagine if I crank it into the amps, it's going to change. Let's lighten up on the gain a little bit. You also turn off my delay for a sec. Okay, now let's turn that delay back on. So I think that the voices must be a smidge different. I didn't quite gather if that was the case, if these are actually just straight up kind of different things. But, you know, setting the bias the same, they're giving a similar experience, but the red side here is definitely doing something slightly more, I guess the best way I could put it is a little brighter, a little more forward. But so cool that you can kind of have one that slams or one that's more like overdrivey. So also just how freaking explosive it was with the bias all the way to the left. That is so cool. That is such a cool tone. I'm going to actually, speaking of tone, turn the tone knob up, brighten it up as much as I can there. Gosh, oh, that's so cool. Okay, let me do like a slightly more normal tone, throw on some like delay, normal reverb or something. All right, this is Poly Ping Pong, and I set it to like eighths. And then my Riz Haze reverb. Those are both able to be found on Tone Factor if you're interested. So yeah, you can kind of hear it right there. What a cool experience to be able to swap between biases and to be able to do something more rhythmic, distortion-y, and then to go to like a slamming lead or something like that. That's so cool. I'm going to change over to a really aggressive reverb anthem. I'm going to change the delay to something a little more simple, just a normal delay set to eighths. Throw my wide light effect from my LVX here on just a little bit more of like a cool wide effect, but not adding like any sort of like preampy color. I threw on the TC Electronic SCF for a second there, which it sounds really cool, but because of the BBD chip in there, I didn't want it to influence the gain character of the Nero Fuzz that you're hearing too much. So anyways, more of a passive, cleaner widening effect from LVX here. Turn those effects back off for a sec. Anyways, I mean, I'm just really enjoying playing with the bias here. This is so cool. We haven't messed with the comp yet. We'll go to that next. But yeah, let me just kind of mess with a few more things here. Okay, love that. Love that position. Very nice. Gain is still at absolute minimum. Let's kind of turn that up a bit again with these settings and see what happens. Okay, so I think what I was aiming for and seeing how much can I clean it up was actually fighting against me a little bit because it was really warm. So adding more actual gain from the pedal is starting to breathe life into it. It's coming, it's being more pronounced. It's more forward, go figure. You know, I mean, I'm usually somebody that tries to dial my pedals in this way and kind of see what I can get out of it. But this is cool to note about this. That's actually kind of cool. So dropping the volume there, let me change to a reverb and do something kind of smooth with this because it is warmer, more vintagey sounding. That was all bridge pickup and has been bridge pickup so far. Let's try neck. All super cool sounds. I mean, there's literally no way to go wrong here. Let's go ahead and mess with the compressor here since we haven't done that yet and just see what's going on with that. Okay, cool. I'm seeing some of the value in it. Like it's kind of, it is squeezing things more. So you can run higher gains and have more control over how those dynamics are, which, I mean, obviously it's a compressor, but I'm just more curious in like when the rubber meets the road, how does it feel? And is there an artistic way to use it? And I think I'm finding it in like if you run compressor up a little bit with higher gain, it's doing some cool stuff. I guess I could say it's also just making it not so much of a wall of sound. It's tightening it a little bit. Yeah, it's really explosive whenever you open it wide with higher gain. And so having that a little higher is kind of sweet. It's just kind of tightening everything. Cool. I mean, I can keep messing on and on and on with it, but I think I should grab the Telecaster for a second with some single coils and see what it sounds like. Okay, so for the Telecaster, let's just go ahead and simplify some of these controls back where I had it. No compressor. Tone's been fine here so far. Just crank that volume and then bring the gain down and see how it goes. This is on the more kind of transparent side of the bias knob. So first, without the Nero, here's the Telecaster. And with the Nero. Very explosive, very cool. It definitely just offers a little bit more chop within the kind of fuzz character of the pedal. And then, of course, in traditional fuzz fashion, you can just clean up your volume knob on your guitar, and it obviously lightens the experience a bit. It cleans it up. That is stacking. First of all, that was with my volume knob on my guitar, probably like halfway. And then I had, from one of my LVXs, I had a ping pong delay, poly ping pong. And then on my other LVX, the later one, I had just BBD dotted, kind of creating that sort of cascading delay effect. Really cool. But then, yeah, with the volume knob down, it just kind of made it a little bit more like bite-sizable, really tasteful sounding drive character. But just very palatable. There's obviously a noise floor because it is a full bore fuzz pedal and you're using your volume knob, but it's like, you're not necessarily going to be using this in gentle moments per se. You could, and maybe some of that noise could be some of the character you use, but all that to say, it's very versatile when you do that. I'm going to throw on an octave, from, the Enzo X here. that's obviously a lot of effects. Normally I wouldn't be doing that, but it's just like, to a degree, sometimes while it sounds messy, that's some fun stuff that I might actually do in a huge moment of a song. It's kind of a big wall of noise, but some of it's kind of intentionally placed, even though it's like really swirly. And with a lot of gain like that, it's just monstrous sounding and could create a like rhythmic bed underneath something. So really loving that. Let me just try cranking it a little bit further here. I turned those effects off just so we can actually hear it now. Tasty. Anyways, so that's it on Telecaster. Let me jump over to a baritone and we'll wrap this thing up. All right, here it is, tuned to B standard. Gonna throw on the SCF here. It actually really complements how choppy the lipstick tube pickup sound is. They kind of have a way of articulately poking through, which is kind of cool. Let's throw on some effects again here. That's crazy. Dude, like that palm mute down low. I was like, I hope my speakers don't blow up, but it sounds sick if it happens when they do. You get the idea. There's some goodies in there, and it sounds absolutely atrociously monstrous on the baritone as well. So very cool to experiment with, and I'm really digging it. I think I'd be curious to find out how and where I would use it, aside from knowing that I really like the versatility of like clean it up or fatten it out and make it slam. Those are two really cool options that I think is the highlight takeaway for me today. But how would I set it up, man? Honestly, no idea. I think there's so much musical application that even in like recording and stuff, you have so many options at your disposal here. And I think my third highlight as well is how big the low end is and how much it slams. Like there's so much awesome kind of EQ control. It never gets harsh and out of hand. You know, obviously I found my sweet spot, I think, on the tone knob here. But I think those are the three big things that stand out to me that I'm like, dude, I can do a lot with this. And I'm such a big fan of the slamming sound, dude. It is peak. So anyways, that's the Nero Fuzz.